Welcome to the Dose of Courage podcast. I'm your host, Courage Molina, Chief Courage Crusader. I'm here to encourage, challenge, and equip you to become bolder, more confident, and courageous enough to be who God has called you to be, do what God has called you to do, and take possession of everything He said you could have. Courage Crusaders, let's go. Today's podcast episode is brought to you by the Courage Mastermind. The Courage Mastermind is a 12-week coaching program to help you discover your true self so you can become more confident. It's going to help you to let go of past mistakes so you can walk in the forgiveness that's already yours. You will be able to use your faith so you can move mountains and step into the life God has for you. If you're ready to improve your relationships so you can have the support you deserve, and you're ready to grow personally so you can become the woman you were always meant to be and live the life you truly desire, this is the program for you. Don't wait. Let's get on a call and get you enrolled in the program today. bit.ly/Courage Mastermind. The link is also in the show notes. All right, guys. Hello. I'm so glad that you are back here with me. I'm so excited about today because we are going to talk about a concept today that I've always kind of lived out. I just did not have the proper verbiage to make me feel good about what I was saying. And in light of everything that's going on in the world right now, it's been a very hard week. If you've been watching the news, which I don't even watch the news, and I still know, that we are just dealing with such, racism and discrimination, and there's so much hate that's just being spread all over. Sometimes we need to take a step back and take care of ourselves first. That's true even when we're not dealing with the pandemic, even when we're not dealing with all of this civil unrest and all of this injustice. Even when those things are going on, sometimes we need to put ourselves first, but certainly more so even in times like this. And so I have an amazing guest for us who's going to lead us in this conversation about the importance of putting ourselves first and taking time to take care of ourselves. For over 9 years, Roz Paul, your freedom coach, has used her life as an open example for teaching. She really believes in leading by example. She has helped countless women in all walks of life rediscover their authentic selves so that they can freely live life the way they want to live it. Through her coaching, her training, workshops, and online courses, or even just her one-on-one coaching, Roz uses her uplifting, relational, and effective methods in guiding you to be free to be yourself. She stands on the concept of knowing that self first is not selfish, which couldn't have been easy for her to understand because she is a mother of 4 and a wife of over 19 years to her husband, Max Paul. You guys know, as wives and mothers, we are often encouraged to put ourselves last in an effort to show that we really love our family. And so I'm excited to hear what Roz is going to share with us. Get your pen and your paper ready because she's not just going to be telling you about what it is. She's going to be giving you some steps, some practical steps that you can put into place today. So you guys help me welcome my friend, Roz Paul. Welcome, Roz Paul, to the Dose of Courage podcast.
Hi.
I am so excited that you are here. How are you?
I am excited and honored, and what a privilege it is to be requested to be here. I hear so much about you, Courage, so I am just so honored to be able to just be in your atmosphere. Yes.
Listen,
so good.
I'm so excited about this. Listen, y'all. So I gave y'all her, y'all heard me use my professional voice, all her accolades. I did the good work for the intro. But let me just tell you guys, I met Roz Paul through Patrice Washington. I co-coached with her in her Mastery and Momentum. And Roz is a part of our second cycle. And she, like all the other women I've had the honor of working with, with Patrice, she's amazing. Like, she's nothing short of amazing. So for the most part, when I meet these amazing ladies and they come through and they're clients and they come through the program, I always know, like, oh, I'm probably going to work with them in some capacity outside of this, because they are always dope in their own right. And you are no exception to that rule. You are as dope as any of the women I've met. And you know, she only rolls with the best. So that's
my gosh.
And so I'm so excited to have you on this podcast. And the reason I wanted to have you on is because I very recently, heard this new term. Maybe people have been saying it for a long time, but I haven't heard it. And it is this idea of self first. Now, listen, y'all. Mm-hmm. I'm really on this quest to become more self-aware. And it's not so much so I can change who I am. I mean, I will make changes as me and the Lord deems necessary, not about what y'all think I need to change. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I really want to know, I'm just being honest. Yes. I really want to know, like, I want to have a better idea of how I operate, how I respond to things, and really why. I want to have the words to better communicate who I am and what my values are, because I think sometimes, you know, when who we are or how our personalities play out, it doesn't look like everybody else's. We can sometimes be like reprimanded or corrected. And sometimes you're correcting something that the Lord put in me like this for a reason. Like, I'm this way for a reason. And I think sometimes we miss that. And it has been very helpful for me to become more self-aware. And so I know the things that, you know, I need to change. And there are some other things I can better communicate. Right. And so in my life, I have been accused of being selfish. And I'm going to tell y'all that while I don't like being called selfish, it ain't going to change nothing, because I still ain't going to do it. You still ain't getting none, and you still can't have it. Like, whatever it is, it's still a no. You can call me selfish and it's still a no. But it did bother me on some level. Like, just this idea, I accepted it. Okay, I am seen as selfish, and I'm just going to be okay with that. But it does kind of take a toll on your confidence and your self-esteem, because nobody wants to be thought of as something negative, even if they're willing to, they're not willing to change. And I certainly wasn't willing to change in those areas. And so then I was listening to this podcast, and Patrice Washington's podcast, and this lady, I cannot think of her name. I think her name is Karen. That's the best I can give y'all right now. She said, I'm not a selfish person, but I am a self-first person. And I just paused that thing right there. Yes. And I just sat in that for a second. I was like, hold up. That's the best thing I heard ever in my whole life. Let me hit that 15-second back button. And so I know, Roz, that this is really your area of expertise. Like, this is the thing that you are passionate about. First of all, where were you when I was coming up? Where was you at?
I don't know. I think the Lord was working in both of us, and I had to kind of define what that meant so people understood it in a clear way without coming across like how they came to you from the place of saying, oh, well, then you're selfish. And if I could just take you back for a second with that story that you shared there by saying it's according to the eye of the beholder. Just because they said it doesn't mean that's what it really is. So that's how they felt. And if that's not, you know, who you are or who you feel or what God said that you are, then that's according to the eye of the beholder. And at the end of the day, they want what they want, being selfish from you, but they're considering you selfish because you set a boundary and actually said no. So, yeah, that's how I feel with that comment right there.
Girl, you said a lot right there. Setting that boundary. Let's just back up real quick, because I don't want y'all out here in these streets. Being selfish, talking about, oh, you heard it on the Dose of Courage podcast. No, pump your brakes real quick. So pump your brakes. Roz, can you, because people will take a little something and run with it. And like, how would you describe, or what is the difference between selfish and self-first? Because it kind of sounds like we're just playing with words, right? We're just saying self
Right.
first so that we are putting a positive spin on a characteristic that is not really one that is, really one that we want to have. Like, oh, you're just saying it's that, but really you're selfish. You're just putting a spin on it. So can you help us understand the difference between selfish and self first?
Right. Well, for me, Courage, again, thank you for having me on here. But for me, it was a journey to actually define that for myself. I can only share from a place of personal experience. And when you are coming from a place where you're so frequently giving, you're so frequently releasing, you're so frequently putting everyone else before yourself, right? So that you don't come in that perception of being selfish, you lose yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm coming from a place of not acknowledging who I am. And it really triggered courage from a place of having a day at work and let me step back just a pinch further. I'm coming from a place of working in full-time ministry for over 5 years, like literally getting paid to be a part of ministry, which is many people's, desire, right? And it wasn't even on my main plan, but God called me to ministry for a while. And I'm not in that today because he is just doing some amazing things in my life today, but I still serve him. But to bring that back, one day we are doing our thing, and the church that I attend is very event heavy. We do a lot of events, so we tend to serve a lot of people all the time. And so when you get caught up in that as a person, you're so busy filling everyone else that you lose yourself. You lose who you are. You lose your likes, your dislikes, your favorite color. You start overthinking. You start getting in that place of just not knowing your internal self. And it's not like I wasn't spirit filled. It's not like I didn't speak in tongues. It's not like I didn't understand how to connect with other people. But one day, this one scripture was said is, and I read it like 100 times. Love yourself as you love your neighbor. Common scripture, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I said, okay, I'm loving on my neighbors. I'm loving on everybody else. But the Holy Spirit in that moment, or prompting, if you will, for those of you that are not churchgoers or know these terms, a prompting inside of me said, I know you. You know everybody else, but you don't even know you. And I was like, what you mean? What you mean? I know who I am. I am a child of God, Yeah, but Rosalind, can you stop for a second and really ask yourself, are you okay with you? I was like, I'm good. I'm good. I read the word. I spend time with you. I'm speaking into other people's lives. I'm encouraging. I'm doing what I need to do. But he's like, pause for a second. What do you like? What is your favorite color? What do you like to do apart from here? Are you good with your husband? Are you good with your kids? Or are you going to continue serving the whole world and lose yourself in the midst of it? And then when you come to me, I'm going to say to you, I knew you, but you didn't know you.
That's good.
So I was like,
That's good. I think especially not just in ministry, but in any type of service-based thing, right? So it's ministry, it's outreach, all of these great philanthropic, I speak English sometimes.
Yep.
All of these great things that we want to do, we start from a great place, which is serving, right? And we're not saying there's anything wrong with serving. You start from a great place, which is serving, and then it which can easily lead to people pleasing, which can easily lead to a loss of identity. And now this idea of like loving my neighbor as I love myself becomes completely twisted, because I'm loving my neighbor in a way I'm not even loving myself, which is basically what God.
Hello, somebody.
You're serving them. You're making sure they have their needs met, and you're making sure that they're uncomfortable. Meanwhile, back on the ranch, how are things in your home? How are things in your finances? How are things in your mind and in your body? Are you taking care of you like you're taking care of your neighbor? And so the idea of self first, or this self first mindset, is not one where other people don't mean anything to me. It is one where I have set boundaries to protect my own identity so that I can show up for you, right, as my best self without neglecting myself.
Correct. I had to ask myself, am I whole? Am I happy? And am I successful?
Oh, say that
am
again.
I whole?
Oh, whole.
Am I happy? And am I successful? Or am I making everyone else whole, happy, and successful, and I'm dying on the back end? That's what it means, courage, to be self first and not selfish. That does not mean you cannot help others. That does not mean you cannot pour into others. That does not mean you cannot connect with the people that are around you. But how much more better could you be when you are whole, when you are happy, no matter what's happening around you, and when you are successful? And those things are not dependent upon what other people say, do, or think. And to be that way, it took me a hot second.
Well, the biggest problem that I think that people face in their, like, even in their own success, is a lack of self-awareness, right? So you're broken, you don't even know you're broken. You're not as happy as you pretend to be, or as happy as you like to be. There are some things that you're saying yes to that you really want to say no to, and you're not experiencing success in these areas that you'd like to. But part of that is because you don't know who you are. It's hard to put myself first when I don't know the things that I prefer, when I don't understand how I work and my triggers. Let me tell y'all something. Listen, I'm trying to let you know right now. When Courage Molina shows up to do something for you, I don't care what it is. You don't have to worry if I'm going to be overworked, if I'm exhausted. You don't have to worry if I'm going to be resentful. You don't have to worry if I don't want to do it, because, baby, I ain't coming. I ain't doing it. I don't. Courage, can you? No. And I have been so good with people responding to me like, oh, I'm selfish and I'm this, that, and the other. But this self-first mindset has freed me from the weight of like feeling bad and the guilt of like, oh, well, maybe I should have, or the indecisiveness. And even sometimes I have gotten into situations where I'm like, no, I knew I didn't want to do
Courage. I'll say that the only obligation that you have is to the Lord, no one else. And if you are whole, happy, and successful, if you are authentic to yourself, if you have discovered who you are, then it doesn't matter what they're requesting, because you know you're in right standing with who you are, vertically. And when you're in right standing vertically, you can easily go through things horizontally, but in a confident place, in a loving place. Like, here's the deal. I had a day, a coming to Jesus moment, and I share this when I connect with other people, where one day I went into work, busy season as usual, all the time, being in ministry. At the time, I went into work, and me and my boss was sitting across each other on the table, and we're going over our next event, if you will. And in the moment, she paused and she looked at me and she said, Roz, why don't you like going home? And I looked at her like, what do you mean? What do you mean I don't like going home? What you talk about, Willis? And she's like, you come in early, you come in late, you work your patootie off and you do everything that you're supposed to do. But when it's time for you to go home, it's like, nah, I got stuff I have to do. You know, you don't go home. And I was like, girl, child, please, I'm all right. I love going home. What are you talking about? So we finish our conversation and we finish our powwow, whatever. You know, we dropped the subject. But in that moment, I was like, I got a little offended. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hold up. Who are you to tell me that I don't?
Because it's like, is she trying to say there's something going on in my house that I don't like?
Hello.
No, she didn't. Yes.
Hello, somebody. Like, so what I did is I went to my desk after the meeting and I sat for a second. And honestly, in that season, in that moment, I really didn't have a second to sit. But I stopped and I was like, what is she talking about? She don't know what she's talking about. So I sat for another prompting comes up inside of me in that moment. You know, it's the Holy Spirit. And that's when he was like, Rosalind, do you like to go home? Do you like to be around your family and be around your kids? And are you over processing what's happening? And why are you here 100,000 hours more times than you are with those that are at home or even with yourself? And I'm like, what you say now? And that one question began a 3-year journey. It began a 3-year journey of acknowledging what's happening inside of me, of releasing and forgiving what was not only others, but myself, and asking other people to forgive me, learning how to refresh myself in a healthy, loving way, and then learning to walk in joy. When I got into the position of that, other things did not aggravate me as such. You know why? Because I knew my truth in that moment. Like I knew who I was. I knew, again, it's not according to just receiving the word or according from a place of somebody telling me, Rosalind, you awesome. Rosalind, you're good. I got that all day, every day working in ministry. Rosalind, you are the best. I heard it all day, but it never really penetrated. And you know why it never penetrated the way it should have is because I would not confront myself. I was afraid to confront my emotions. I was afraid to go and actually do things to refresh myself. Because if I go and do this, everything is going to fall. Everything else, if I don't do it, everything else is going to fall to pieces because, I'm thinking of myself too much. Yeah, I know I do good. Let's move on to the next thing. Courage.
That's an ego thing.
Of me.
Right. Listen, let me just get y'all together real quick. That's an ego thing, right? We kind of throw a little shade at people who are self first. They're like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to take care of some me time. And we pretend or behave like the people who are always showing up and who are there 13 hours longer than they need to be there. And they're never home and they are neglecting what's going on at home, neglecting themselves. We see that as this like thing that is to be honored. But at the end of the day, it's just like you said, what we're really saying is that this thing is going to fall apart if I'm not here, which really puts us in the place of God.
Yeah.
Whatever you're working on, ministry, business, career, like whatever thing you're working on, God is in that thing, women of faith, men of faith. God is in that thing. So I don't need to be here 24 hours a day because the Lord don't sleep. So I can't. The Lord don't need vacation. Right. I need vacation. He's omnipresent. I'm not. So he's home with my kids. Now I'm about to go home and be with my kids, with my husband also, right? This idea of self-first is like recognizing and understanding that I am but a human with a massive calling on my life. And at the end of the day, what we have to realize is that you're the vessel. You're the asset. Whatever the purpose is, whatever role you're supposed to be playing, however you're supposed to be pouring into your family or to community or whatever, that stops when you don't take care of yourself. Or which is what I see. See, I say no. I have a very strong no spirit. But what I see as a volunteer or someone who's showing up, for people who are showing up all the time, you're low-key mad and you're frazzled a little bit and you're overwhelmed and it's like, oh, they're asking us to do a lot. No, they're putting a lot on us. No, they're asking, but they're not putting it on you. You are opening up, accepting every single request. I tell people all the time, listen, it's an invitation. It's not a subpoena. It is a request. It's not a subpoena. I can say no. Now, subpoena, you show up or the law is coming for you. You know what I'm saying? An invitation, I have the right to say no. Like, I can say no. I have the right to say no. But I think that part of that comes from not really knowing who you are and whose you are, and not really understanding the thing that God has called you for and how he is with you, and how, just like you said, it doesn't matter what anybody else is thinking about your nose and your boundaries. It's your responsibility to protect the vessel. Yeah. It's your responsibility to protect the asset, to put those boundaries up so that when God calls you to do the next thing, the next time he gives you a prompting to do something, you have the energy, the time, the bandwidth, or whatever.
Talent. Oh, yeah. Getting to,
Because in the meantime, you're saying yes to all these things that God isn't asking you to do. You tired and worn out asking God for energy. And he like, well, why are you asking me for strength? Because I ain't tell you to do that no way. So whoever told you to do that, you better see if they got some strength for you. Because the work I gave you to do is just sitting over here. And it would have been easier for you. I think that sometimes we're afraid of that. We run from this idea of selfishness. Now, Roz, I'm going to tell you. Listen, I know it's hard to believe, but somebody right now that's listening to this podcast, they're so excited about this idea of self first. But the problem is, in their case, it's not self first, it's selfish. Okay? They're like, yes, that's right. I got these boundaries. That's right. I told her no. No, friend.
Yeah, no, it's not that simple.
But help us to understand, like, so I get self first is boundaries. Self first is checking in with myself to see if I am whole, happy, and successful so that I can serve at the highest level, so that I can serve to the best of my ability, so I can show up and do the thing I've been called to do. That's self first. It is self-preservation so that I can walk out the call on my life and serve those that are assigned to me, right?
Yeah.
What is selfish, though? What is
selfish? Now we're crossing over to the dark side now.
Listen, we have to cross over to the dark side.
We got to cross over.
We got to cross over because we cannot conquer what we do not confront. And so some of us are being selfish, and you might have a good reason for it, and all this underlying stuff. That's cool, but we got to recognize that we're selfish first before we can address it. So how, who?
So on the side of selfish, I equate that with the level of love that you give. So let me explain that a little further. When you are in a place where you are requiring, now you may not notice that you're doing it, but where you are requiring others, whether it's people, places, or things, to satisfy your personal needs without the expectation of a harvest to help others on the other end is selfish. If you are looking for the love, if you are looking for affirmation, if you are looking for something else and there is no harvest on the upside of it, that will not only please God, but have a harvest on your end as well, it's selfish, where it just stops the buck after you do it. And that is not the love of heaven. Does that make sense?
That makes beautiful sense. I love that you said when you need other people to
places and things,
your needs. I need for this to go my way because it's what I need. I need for you to say and give me these things so that I can be happy. When you put your happiness, your wholeness, and your success on the shoulders of somebody else, so now it's no longer my responsibility to make sure I'm whole. It's not my responsibility to make sure I'm happy. It's not my responsibility to make sure I'm successful. I can't do that because Roz didn't do this. So now I'm unhappy because Roz refused to do something for me. Now
From
I'm
me.
happy because Roz refused to do XYZ for me or to open this thing up to me. Now I'm just so miserable. Girl,
And you have to
good.
ask yourself, you have to ask yourself at the end of that request first, am I doing it out of love or out of selfishness? Is someone else going to reap a fruit? Is it beneficial to heaven? Is it beneficial to you? And is it beneficial to the person that you're asking it from? You got to have all three of those categories up in there, because that's the love of God. God loves you regardless. But when God moves in that place of love, it not only benefits him, it benefits him, you, and the people that you touch.
This is
If it's
so
just one
good.
direction and the buck stops at you, then it's no go. That's selfish.
Selfish has no.
That's how I feel.
I think that's dope.
Correct.
That's everything. Selfish has no pass through. I'm getting all this love, all this encouragement, all this clout, power, influence, opportunities, money, finances, love, affirmation. I'm getting all of that in, and it doesn't pass through. Nobody else is made better because of what I have. Because you it doesn't pass through. Now I'm not loving someone else well. Because you've affirmed me, now I just feel good about myself. But I'm not taking that healthy mindset to go out and affirm somebody else. Baby, when I tell you that will preach, because you are responsible for your own happiness. Now listen, this is a hard pill to swallow for married folks. Okay? I'm just going to say it, because we kind of get into this space where I want you to do these things for me in this way, because I deserve to be happy.
And yet you don't want to do that thing back.
Right.
It's a one-way street. That's selfish.
I deserve to be happy, and it's your responsibility to make me happy. I listened to this interview once. I think it was like Will and Jada Pickett Smith, and he was like, he told her that she needs to go and make herself happy, that he was not responsible for her happiness, that if she couldn't make herself happy, why did she think that he could ever make her happy?
Exactly. That's powerful, and that's real.
It really is. That puts you on the end of always needing to receive, right?
Correct.
And not even from a malicious place. I'm not saying you're selfish because you're a horrible person. I'm saying this is an indicator that I need to become more self-aware, that I need to start taking care of myself. I need to start loving myself better, so that I don't put that expectation. And I'll tell you this girl, you good. Because it makes me think about when I was like really battling depression and some of the things and the thoughts that I had around my husband. I blamed him for a lot of things. I blamed him for, how I saw myself. I blamed him for, my lack of happiness. I blamed him for where we were and a lot of times in our marriage. And then I realized one day, I'm like, hold up.
Wait a minute.
What he provides should be icing. It should be utensils so I can eat the cake better.
He's an additive.
He can't be my egg and my flour and my sugar and my butter.
Only God can fulfill that, baby doll. There's only one person who can fulfill that.
That's right. He gave
you that. He gave you that. Yes. Just like everything else. I was telling a friend the other day that, having a spouse, having children, having money, all of these are extra. Like, these are additives. These are tools, so that way you can live a full life. But at the end of the day, if you don't even know what that really looks like for yourself, you're never going to be satisfied, because you don't even know what you're looking for. You could be divorced right now, go get another man, and you still gonna say the same thing to him, because you don't even know what you're looking for. You can have 5 kids and look at each of those kids, and they're never going to be good enough to you, because you never quantified what it meant to really be loved. And the same thing with money. You can have $1 trillion and don't even know that it's a tool, baby. You have to know who you are inside out. And with that being said too, you have to know when you got junk inside of you too. Because sometimes
Come on.
call ourselves okay and whole, and you got junk inside. I had to get and reach out and say, listen, I don't know what's happening inside. Because let's be honest. Let me be real here. I'm about to go deeper.
Deeper.
Working.
I feel like I need to put my snorkeling gear on. Go ahead. Get my snorkeling gear.
I told myself there was in that 3-year process of me finding self, if you will, not, God first, yes. But in that season while working in ministry, I did three things. I did three things. Number one, I went to a trustworthy friend after going to the Lord and him releasing and acknowledging, yeah, you need to walk some journeys here inside, because I really want to have you free, like really be free in me, so that when I give you something, so that when I bless you abundantly, so that while you are whole and happy and successful, those things can flow through you, but they can't flow if you're blocking. Locked up, you're stocked up, the toilet's clogged. I need you to work through that. So the first thing he had me do is be around 2 people that were already whole, that were able to acknowledge things that were going on in me in a loving place. And that's where I come in with the people that I coach and counsel. I'm that safe and loving place that when they share with me, it comes from a place of non-judgment. It comes from a place of no condemnation. It comes from a place of love, to where I am receiving what they're saying, and I'm not looking at them in some kind of way. Why? Because I'm good. Not perfect,
right,
but good, to where I'm in position to be able to receive. So I needed that around me, first of all. So I knew that I wasn't crazy. I'm like, I'm having these thoughts, I'm having these feelings, I'm confronting myself, and I don't know what to do with all this flow of stuff that's happening inside of me that I blocked for years, Courage. This ain't like I just decided because that one person told me what she told me in her office, and that one little piece triggered me. No. There was a lot more going on, that as soon as I opened up that wall, baby, as Courage would say, things came out that I didn't even know what to do with it. So being able to open yourself up in a safe place with safe people was really important, because they were able to acknowledge that, number one, I was not crazy. Number two, God can heal these things. And number three, let me refresh you with what you need in this moment. All right. That was one. Two, how to take out those things and keep them out. It's one thing that, okay, you acknowledge what's going on here. Let's work through them. I don't care if it takes you a year, if you're done in 5 minutes. Let's work through these things that you're dealing with. So I had to, once I acknowledged what was happening, I had to go and figure out how to take them out and how to keep them out. That meant me going to therapy. That meant me, yes, setting those boundaries. That also meant me knowing what I was listening to and putting back in, because remember, you're a cup, you're a vessel. Yeah. So if you're taking things out of you, now you're empty. You need to be sure to put in those right things after that. The other thing that I realized in that, restoring, healing side, I did not know, if I didn't go to therapy, there were things like I needed it to be acknowledged, and praise the Lord for people that are in the presence of God, and the Lord acknowledges things to them in the spirit, which is great. But in that moment, I needed the therapist to and identify some areas that were not like written, in plain English. Like, Rosalind, you have a small case of depression. I'm like, that's not true, because I work at a church and I love Jesus and I speak in tongues. I cannot be depressed.
Wow, yeah, listen, we know we think that, right?
Hello. But then I was like, okay, so what do I need to do? But here's the deal. Here's what's so beautiful about the presence of God. Because I got the right help to show me and reveal things that I myself could not acknowledge, then and only then was he able to take it. It's just like going to the doctor, or it's just like going to a car repair place. You go there and you can't just roll up in there and be like, I don't know what's wrong with my car, but it just don't work. And they'll look at you and say, ma'am, what do you feel when you're driving it? What, is it wobbly? Is it making noises? It is not at its original form. The mechanic knows it is not at its original form. So you have to tell me and identify what is broken, what is missing. Is it the brakes? And you may not know these things going inside of the mechanic, and you don't know these things going inside of a therapist. You don't know what's quote unquote missing, or quote unquote lost, or quote unquote broken. But when you go to the mechanic, first God, but then go to those people that he has equipped to help you to identify things, so that when he fixes it, you know it's fixed. How you gonna say, you walk into the mechanic and the car is broken, right? And then you come back out, he comes back out and he's like, it's all fixed. And you're just like, okay. And be like, it's $1 trillion. And you're like, okay. The first question you're going to ask is like, what did you fix? Like, what exactly did you repair? So she told me in the therapist's office, she's like, Roz, you have a mild case of depression, and these are the patterns of it, and these are the things that you're doing, but you can be better. You can do better. You can heal from this. And then I was able to go deeper with myself to God, because I'm like, this is exactly what I need help in right here, Lord. And once he fixed that, and once he healed that in the name of Jesus, I was able to discover more things inside of me, not that was broken, but that was already there, that I would have never been able to get into, to tap into myself, if it wasn't for the identification of those other things that the therapist and the protective, safe friends were able to help me through. You know what I'm saying? And then the third part to kind of wrap it up was like, how do I stay in this? How do I continue to walk in that place of healing and wholeness, and be at joy and be at peace and just love this? I want to stay right here, God. I want to be right here all the time, 24/7. And he's like, whew, just like working out, Roz. I know you don't like working out, Roz. But you have to be consistent in all that you do. And also, I gave you seasons for a reason. There's a reason why I created seasons on this earth, because there's certain things that you'll have to shift that will not stay the same all year long, except for if you're in South Florida. And even if you're in South Florida, it still gets cold.
It does, but it gets South Florida cold.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, Courage, I had to be consistent in the things that kept me happy, that brought me joy, that gave me peace. I still do till this day have bumps and things. That's everybody in life.
Right, that's life.
But I created methods. I created systems. I created relationships that are so beautiful. The ones like you and I, the ones in the program that we're in with Patrice Washington, because I sat with myself and asked myself what I really needed, and tested things too, tried some things out of the box, out of my comfort zone, to see, do I really like to work out outside? Or am I okay with just working out inside of the comfort of my home with air conditioning? I had to test some things to really see what I like. Why did I have to go outside of the box? Because I was so busy being something else to everybody else except for myself. And I think that is selfish.
Oh, that is so. Listen, that's a whole word. Let me just break a couple things down for y'all, right? So, understanding that having a self first mindset is it's absolutely imperative because it is the thing that's going to allow you to go on this journey that God has called you for so that you can be who God has called you to be. You can do the things he's called you to do, and you can serve the people that have been assigned to you. That self first mindset is what allows you to do that. That self first mindset is what allows you to say, oh, I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, then it's going to be okay for me to say that I'm not going to do it anymore. That self first mindset is truly the cure for selfishness.
Correct.
It's the cure for selfishness, because when I'm selfish, then I'm not making sure I'm whole, happy, and successful. And now I'm inconsistent at best when I show up. Now I can't do the things I've been called to do. Now I can't be who God has called me to be, because now how I show up depends on all these external factors. Correct. I can never be consistent. It's always like it's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get on what day. It's just a throw of the dice. And there are steps that you can take if you are like, I'm not really sure what to do. Okay, have some prayer time with God. Get into a conversation with a trustworthy friend. Hire a coach like Roz to help you. That's going to provide this safe space for you, right? So that way you can take out the things that are not serving you well and you can keep them out, because old habits die hard. You didn't just become a selfish person depending on other people for your happiness, wholeness, and your success. That didn't happen overnight. It's been many years in the making, and old habits die hard. And so when you are working with somebody, they can give you the tools that you need, because this is a lifestyle. This is not a one-time thing. You're going to need these tools for the next level that you get to, and the next area, and the next season that you get into. And then maintenance is required, because maintenance is what makes it a lifestyle. Having it, there might be one thing I need to do to lose weight, but if I do the things I need to do to lose weight, I will gain that weight back if I do not make the healthy living a lifestyle. I'm just going to go back to that old thing. So it doesn't make any sense to get somebody to help you see where you are or what you need to do, and then you take those things out and then you don't maintain it.
Correct.
You're just going to go back to it. It's so important that you really understand the importance of the self-first mindset. It's imperative to the call on your life. It is absolutely imperative. Girl, this was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
I so enjoyed this.
I'm going to hook y'all up. And when I say I really mean Roz. Because I didn't make it. Roz is going to hook y'all up with this 15-day challenge. Right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about this challenge?
Yes. What I've done is I've provided listen, this was downloaded into me last year, where people just need a moment, just small tidbit moments to just kick off and start off how to identify being set free and finding triggers within yourself to understand whether you are being selfish or handling yourself self-first. I know I'm tongue twisting all of it, but at the end of the day, this 15-day challenge is a prompt that is sent to you every day for the next 15 days with words from me and with actions from me to help you ask yourself, am I free? Am I self-aware? Am I acknowledging how I'm feeling? Am I able to help other people? Am I in this space for me to be able to help people? And sometimes you just need little tidbits to get you going. And I believe that if you do it for 15 days, that you, at least one out of those 15 days, something is going to trigger yourself for you to be free to be yourself. And that's really what it's called. It's really a 15-day challenge to be free to be you. Ooh. Be yourself.
Yes, so your yeses can be yes, and your no's can be full sentences.
Can be no's. And each day is simple, quick things. It goes to your email. You get a PDF.
Roz, before
You'll get an email every day. You also get an email every day with just small prompts of what you can do. And then I ask that you go onto my Instagram and into my Facebook and let's have a conversation about it. Like, if you're comfortable with that. If not, shoot me an email and I will reply to you and let's talk about it. Let's talk about where you're stuck at. So yeah, that's what the 15-day challenge is. And you can find that at Roz Paul. That's with the Z, RozPaul.com/15-day challenge, 15-day challenge. And yeah, jump on there.
Yeah, you're welcome. See, I be giving y'all gifts all the time. You're welcome. Roz, I'm going to put that link in the show notes. I have one last question to ask you that I asked to all my guests, especially when I remember, and I remember this time, praise God. I want to know, can you tell me where you go for a dose of courage?
Well, courage, I figured out that I like walking.
Outside or on a journey?
Actually, outside. Now, not everyone can do that. I get it. But for me, I'm in sunny South Florida and I can get up and go walking and enjoy the breeze. And when I need a dose of courage, I go out and I walk and I listen to music that gets me to where I need to be. Apart from the Word of God, which is the main part that gives me courage. But from there, the walking helps me to find the practical keys after the download for me to have the courage to do the things that I am called to do on this earth. Period.
Amen. That's a good one. I too enjoy walking, talking to myself. I put my headphones on so people don't know that I'm talking to myself. Sometimes it's no music. I just be talking to myself, encouraging myself. Sometimes I'm practicing something. I'm like, let me go out here and encourage my dang on self for a change. Put my headphones on so people in the streets don't be like, should we call somebody for her? No, I'm
waving her hands.
Waving her hands. And I talk with my hands. So if I have my headphones on, it's cool. People think I'm on the phone. That's what I like.
Exactly.
It's a great way to get encouraged. I love that. Thank you so much, Roz, for coming on. Guys, I'm going to connect you to all things Roz in the show notes. Make sure you follow her on Instagram. Let her know how much you loved her, taking time out of her day. She's on her lunch break. She need to eat, and y'all, she fasting for y'all. This is servitude right here. Let her know how much y'all love and appreciate her. Tag her when you're sharing and talking about this podcast. DM her. Let's do this challenge. So we're going to do this challenge in the Dose of Courage community. I'm going to post the link today, guys, and we're going to start as a group. I would love for us all to be starting at the same time. I lied. I'm going to post it tomorrow, which is the 31st. It'll be the 31st of May. And that way we can start on June 1st all together. And then doing this challenge together, y'all. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much, Roz.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Courage. It was a privilege and an honor to be here. You guys check out her other podcasts because they are truly a dose of courage.
Oh, thank you. I love y'all. All right. Until next time, y'all, just be strong and very courageous. Love y'all. Later.
Bye.